Hello, I'm Kelsey from Beacon Coffee, and today I'm going to be stepping you through our daily protocol for the end-of-day cleaning of a commercial espresso machine. Note that this is our end-of-day cleaning and it occurs in addition to cleaning throughout the day. Cleaning your espresso machine thoroughly at the end of every day is absolutely imperative to ensure that we have quality, great tasting coffee and that our espresso machine continues to run as intended. I'm going to be showing you the steps in the order in which we perform them here. Several of the steps could be performed in a different order or concurrently with other closing duties, like cleaning the grinders. Do whatever makes sense in the context of your cafe. Just make sure that all of the steps do get completed at some point. I'm going to grab my cleaning bucket. We like to keep everything in the same place for the end of day cleaning, makes life easier. In this bucket, I have my espresso machine cleaner, my dairy cleaner, my grinder cleaner, a palo brush, a blind, and a flathead screwdriver. The first thing I'm going to do is polish the espresso machine. Now this can be done as part of our pre-close duties if time allows. To do this, I simply grab a microfibre cloth and I dampen it with some hot water and then polish, paying close attention to around the steam wand where there's dairy residue and to areas which are a little harder to see, like under here near the group heads. Next, we are going to clean the steam wands. Ensure that if both steam wands were used throughout the day, then both steam wands are being cleaned. To do this, I'm going to use some dairy cleaner. Today we're going to be using Puro Dairy. You can also use like Cafetto Inverso or Urnex Rinza, whatever you have on hand. And simply follow the instructions on the packet. So for us today, that means taking 30 mils of the Puro Dairy, and we're going to add it to a milk pitcher with 500 milliliters of room temperature water, and I'm going to heat this up. And then I'm going to let it sit on my steam wand for approximately 15 minutes. During this soak time, I can complete other tasks. Once the 15 minutes has elapsed, you can dispose of the solution down your pitcher rinser or any drains you have. I'm going to purge the steam wand to remove any residual chemicals and then give it a really good wipe down with my dedicated steam wand cloth. Pay particular attention to those harder to see areas, like the curve under the steam wand, if you have a rubber guard around that, and definitely the base of that tip. Also pay close attention to the little crevice that forms between the steam wand and the steam tip. The next thing we're going to do is get our cleaning bucket and soak the portafilters, baskets, and shower screens. To do this, grab your cleaning bucket and place in it 1/2 teaspoon or palo brush head or 3 grams of your espresso machine cleaner. For us today, that's going to be Puro Caf. You can also use Cafeza or Cafetto Evo, whatever equivalent you have that's a dedicated espresso machine cleaner. The next thing we're going to do is remove our portafilters from the espresso machine and pop out the baskets. If you don't want to use your fingers, you can always use a teaspoon or a flathead screwdriver. Pop these all in the cleaning basket. Now take your flathead screwdriver and remove the distribution screws and the dispersion screens, or shower screens as they're also called. I usually take the screwdriver and loosen the screws a little bit, and then I am going to grab a cloth to protect my fingers as it can be quite hot and wet up there, and remove the screw and the shower screen. The shower screens can go in the cleaning bucket. Now these distribution screws, you can either pop them in the bucket with everything else, or if you want to be extra careful, put them in a different vessel so that you don't lose them. Many baristas will put them in a little espresso demi-tasse on top of their machine. We really need to be careful not to lose these screws. They are very machine specific, and if you lose them, you cannot use the group head from which they came, and you can't just pick up a replacement at the hardware store. It will effectively render your machine useless. So definitely be very, very careful with them. Next, I'm going to grab some hot water and top up my cleaning basket with that. So I want to fill it high enough that the stainless steel bit of the portafilter are covered, but not so high that any of the rubber is in contact with hot water. Hot water over time will damage those rubber handles, so we want to avoid doing that. The next thing I'm going to do is use a damp white cloth to clean my group gaskets, or also known as group seals. Many baristas will use a palo brush to do this, however I prefer to use a white cloth. The rationale behind this is that I can see on the cloth whether I've finally removed all of the coffee residue, as it will start coming out clean. I'm using a bunched up cloth up there. I'm not using my fingers. Remember that up in our group heads, there's lots of hot, sharp metal, so we want to be really mindful of that. Once I've done this, I can remove my drip tray and take it to the sinks out the back for a quick rinse. Just hot water will generally be enough to give it a clean. I'm going to leave this off of my machine while I backflush. So the next step is really critical, and that is doing a chemical backflush followed by a clean water backflush on every single group head. I prefer to work from the group head which is furthest from the drain box towards the drain box. So to perform a chemical backflush, we're going to need a blind portafilter, a blind basket. And this is a basket with no holes in the back of it. We're going to insert this into a portafilter and then add in our ½ teaspoon of espresso machine cleaner. I then add a little bit of hot water from the machine just to help speed things up and dissolve the chemical. I then insert this into the group head. Now, if you have multiple blinds, feel free to backflush multiple group heads at the same time. If you're lucky enough that your espresso machine has an automatic backflush cycle, you can just activate this. If not, like us, we're going to be doing a manual backflush cycle. So to do that, insert your portafilter with a chemical and then activate your group head, activating the brew cycle for 10 seconds on, switching it off and letting it rest for 10 seconds. Then repeat 5 times. So that's 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off, repeat 5 times. And that's our chemical backflush done. Now to remove residual chemical, because it is not a chemical we want to ingest, it's not great for us, what we want to do is a clean water backflush. So to do that, I remove my portafilter and I rinse away any chemical, so it's just clean water in that blind basket. I reinsert that and then perform a clean water backflush cycle. 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off, repeat 5 times, or until I know that all of the chemical has been removed. To check this, I'm going to look at our drain box. Now in our drain box, there's a little expulsion valve, and I know that if there's only clean water and no chemical coming out of that expulsion valve, then I've totally cleaned the system and I can finish my clean water backflush cycle. The next thing I'm going to do is remove the components from my Puro Caf water. I'm going to keep that Puro Caf water because I'm going to set it aside for a different use. I give these components a quick rinse to remove any residual chemical, and then I grab a microfibre cloth and I give them a nice wipe down. I pay particular attention to the top of the portafilter, near where it sits by the gasket, and also to under the lip of the basket. This can quite often have a little bit of coffee up in there. I'm going to wipe down carefully the sides of the shower screen, and I'm also going to visually inspect the shower screen itself for any coffee grounds. If there are some stuck in the mesh, I scrub these with my palo brush, easily gets rid of them. Now I can take that leftover Puro water and I'm going to chuck it down my drain box. Now this drain box throughout the day, it will have a few coffee grounds built up. Over time, these can cause a clog in your espresso machine. If you've ever seen dirty water leaking out of the base of an espresso machine, that generally means that you've had enough build up that the drain box or the drain tube is blocked. Now, if we just run some of that kefir water down every day, it's never an issue. Remember too that there should be never anything going down your drip tray apart from hot water. So never put any dairy down there. That will also contribute to blockages, and they will be smelly blockages. Now that our drain box is clear, we can put the drip tray back on our machine and reassemble everything. I'm going to grab my shower screens and my distribution screws and attach them tightly using a flathead screwdriver. Next, I insert my baskets into my portafilter handles and place them in the machine. Everything's looking good. If your espresso machine has eco mode, at this point you can switch it into eco mode. If not, simply leave it on overnight. So cleaning your espresso machine thoroughly at the end of every day is absolutely imperative. It's what makes our coffee keep tasting tasty, and it keeps the espresso machine functioning as if it's just come out of the box. Thanks for listening, guys, and happy cleaning.